And good evening, everybody. This is the April 27th, 2017 special meeting of the Macomb Park District Board of Commissioners. As with most special meetings, there is but a single item on the agenda, and discussion and action will be restricted to it. That being said, we need to approve the agenda. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the agenda as published. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The agenda stands approved as published. This being a special meeting, there are no minutes or financial reports, and we move to, as I said, the sole operational item on the agenda because we have nobody signed up for public presentation. And that agenda item is the operational status of the Glenwood Pool with discussion and action possible. Over the last couple of weeks, since our meeting on the 18th, there have been a number of events, meetings occurred. I had a one-on-one meeting with the mayor. I shared with you by email some of that discussion. And then last night, probably the largest meeting, the town hall style meeting that was sponsored by Tri-State Public Radio. And that brings us to this point. You have in front of you a resolution that I would like to propose and in fact make a formal motion that we adopt this, and I would look for a second in order to facilitate the discussion. I stress so that everybody understands procedurally the fact that somebody seconds it does not commit anybody to vote for it. It just makes it possible for us to proceed with the discussion. And if there is no objection, since there will be people out watching this and they will not have the motion available to them with the board's permission, I'll try to read it fairly quickly. The motion is entitled Withdrawal from Management of the Glenwood Swimming Pool. That's kind of misleading because it was left over from some earlier stuff, but it's the motion reads, whereas the Macomb Park District manages the Glenwood Swimming Pool pursuant to an intergovernmental agreement with the City of Macomb, owner of the pool, said IGA dated September 1st, 2014, and whereas the safety and comfort of pool visitors and the wise use of taxpayers' money are among the district's primary goals in managing the pool, whereas the Macomb Park District has recently received communications regarding the pool's need, there's a editorial change here, the pool's need for repairs given its deteriorating structural condition, and whereas it is imperative that any such repairs qualify the pool for insurance and state operating licensure, and now therefore be it resolved by the Macomb Park District Board of Commissioners. And for people out there, the items that follow are essentially the action items. Upon completion of repairs specified in the letter of April 18, 2017 by Mr. R. Benson of Benson and Associates, said firm will inspect the work done and provide to the district a written statement of said firm's satisfaction with the repairs and warranting the pool's operating safety. The district, this is item 2, the district shall forward the written statement to its insurer for review and provide any additional information requested by the insurer. And item 3, on receipt of notice of insurability from its insurer, the district will begin preparing the pool for state licensure inspection. 4, the executive director will not commit the district to employment agreements until the receipt of the statement specified in section 1 above. That refers to safety. Item 5, during the time the repairs are underway, district employees shall not work in and immediately around the pool as a matter of construction zone safety. 6, the district having previously given proper notice that it does not wish to extend the current IGA, the district hereby gives notice of its intention to withdraw from management of Glenwood Pool on September 1, 2017, the IGA anniversary date. Item 7, notice of this action, together with a copy of this resolution, shall be delivered to the city pursuant to Section 8 of the previously referenced intergovernmental agreement, no later than the close of business the next business day after this resolution is adopted. Discussion is open.
We need a motion in a second?
We have a motion and a second, yes.
Oh, wait.
We do.
Who seconded it?
I heard one.
Not yet.
No.
Oh, really? Okay, I'm sorry. I thought I heard
No,
one.
you haven't.
Okay, I'm hallucinating, okay? I've been doing this stuff for so long now, dealing with the pool. Is there then a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
A second.
We have a motion and a second, and thank you, Steve. I guess now it's open for discussion. Joe, do you want to possibly share with us some of the things we talked about not too long ago?
Sure. My focus has been on the idea of protecting the Park District from any claims of liability that might arise from people being hurt or property being damaged as a result of any failure that would be caused by some of these structural problems that we've been discussing. Obviously, the engineer's letters indicated first that substantial repairs would be necessary to make the pool usable for a long term. And the second letter indicated that there would be short-term remedial measures that could be taken that would keep it usable for a year or two, I guess. Those letters, if we didn't already know it, put us on actual notice that there were problems that could be interpreted to be safety issues with the pool. When we are on notice of that, we have an obligation to any people we invite to the pool, like patrons, to provide for their safety. In the event that something happened, we would want to, A, be sure that our operation of the pool didn't cause someone to be hurt, and B, make sure that our insurer was willing to back us up on any claims. I know from other experience that insurance companies can use their insured being placed on notice of a problem as a means of avoiding coverage. I talked with various people, and it appears to me that our insurer will cover the operation of the pool if repairs are made and if the engineer who set the specifications for those repairs will state that the repairs have been done properly and that the pool is structurally sound for use as a public swimming pool. I talked with Department of Public Health people, the inspectors, and they indicated that while their inspections are usually focused on things like water quality, bacteria, pumps, things like that, that they are on notice now that there are these structural issues and that they would look at that too, but they would not do an engineering inspection as much as just a visual to see that something had been done. So ultimately it seems to me that Benson Associates would be the ones that would have to give us the go-ahead that the repairs have been done properly and that the pool is, in fact, structurally sound. I'm aware that there are other aspects of this problem that have captured a lot of attention, such as the financial impact of this and the practical consideration of timeframes. I know that the city already has hired Benson Associates to prepare specifications for the short-term repairs, which were addressed in their, I believe, April 18th letter. It's anticipated that those specifications would be available in about a week. The city is going to procedurally move so that it doesn't have to go through a formal bid letting process to actually contract with a company to do the repair work. They've already been talking to several concerns that are familiar with that kind of work. I don't know any more details about it than that. In terms of how long it would take, I was told anywhere from a couple of weeks to a month. The emphasis being on a couple of weeks, which puts us to mid-May. And presuming everybody acts quickly, you know, if the repair work is done and done correctly, hopefully we would have some statement from Benson Associates shortly thereafter that the pool is structurally sound. They're not going to say it's safe. Safe is subjective, ambiguous, and involves more than just the structural integrity of the pool. It involves the actual operation of the pool. In any event, once it's been determined to have been properly repaired, deemed structurally sound, the insurance company would be okay with it. I would want to talk further with them about having some letter or something confirming that. At that point, we would notify Department of Public Health by the application process, application for a license. They would have someone come and look at the pool. And like I said, they wouldn't do a scientific or engineering study, but they would look at it, presumably issue a license. And not being personally familiar with how to run a swimming pool, I don't know if we would need to get the pump installed, water filled, etc., at any point along that process. My guess is that the work on the deck would not be an impediment to filling the pool. I might be wrong. So, you know, some of this stuff can be happening simultaneously. Obviously, when the work is being done, nobody ought to be around the pool for safety purposes. Once it's been done, and various people are looking at the pool or issuing statements or whatever they're doing, I would expect that we would then be free to go ahead and begin the operation of the pool. But like I said, my focus has been on issues revolving around the idea of being liable for damages or injuries to people that would be caused by any failure of the pool. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to try to answer them.
I have a question on the financials. I don't know if I should direct it to you or to you, Joe.
Throw it out.
Okay. The city's coming up with a figure of what it would take to shore up the structural part. Didn't we have some leftover things that we had to do to get this thing ready for 2017? And when I look at the old IGA of how much we're spending, I don't know if that comes into play because that ended, December 31st of 2016? Does that go into play? It doesn't because that's what I thought. I'm just, okay. They said a $30,000 figure that was initially put out there.
How much?
30,000, wasn't that what?
For the
Structure?
intermediate, the second letter repairs,
Yes.
there was $3,500 for engineering studies, to which we've already agreed that we'll split in half to proceed with that. Excuse me, and then there was $30,000 that was mentioned to me by the mayor. That figure seems to bounce around a little bit depending on the context of the discussion. I hear anywhere from 20,000 to 30,000. Again, that's
That's what
split
I
in
mean.
half.
Today it was 30,000 to 40,000.
Today was 30, okay, that's the first time
And
it's
that's-
gone up.
And that's just the shoring. That doesn't include the caulking, the decking, and whatever
Right.
mechanical issues we might have.
That's where my answer is going to.
But the city is defining structural repairs as one incident,
I
and
mean-
then mechanical repairs as a separate incident for a new
The
75,000.
reason why I'm asking this question is, we've got a vote on this, or if we do, if that's the case tonight. Okay, you're giving me the figure that, and I appreciate that,
Yeah, of course.
because this is what you were given. But where I'm at is, we're voting on something that, okay, we really don't know what that figure's gonna be, okay? I mean, right off. I mean, I don't expect to have the final figure, but it would be nice to really know what we're really voting for figure-wise, because that's a lot of money we're starting to talk initially,
That's part of why
1 year.
the city's
or less than a year.
talking about splitting the two things. If you look at the initial letter, the first Benson letter, they identified two different problems. One is the caulking, which was number 2 problem, I think. And number 1 problem was the deteriorated joists. My understanding from what I'm hearing from the director is that they are treating those as separate rather than combined,
Right.
so that in theory, and I stress in theory only, there could be two $75,000 expenditures there, and both entities would be responsible for covering their share of that. I'm a little less persuaded by that. But I think that's the direction it's headed. Now, we have the other stuff. We have the pump. What else remains from last year? Is there anything?
There were what did you mention this morning, Steve? Along with the flow meter, there's 2 gauges that need to be.
Inflow and effluent gauges.
Thank you.
Those are just,
And then, I mean, just the normal startup chemicals and cleaning, and we might need to look at replacing the chlorinator room, unless it doesn't flood, and then we'll be okay. But if it floods, that building might fall in on itself. And we just purchased that expensive pump machine, or chlorination.
What you're saying is if the creek don't rise.
Right, yep.
Okay, so,
But we burden those expenses because they're operational. The city
Yeah.
does not split those with us.
yeah, the startup cost, the routine startup cost, the pump is left over from last year. And my argument would be that that's something that we'd need to address.
Still an expenditure.
Oh, absolutely, but,
I thought that was, when
It's
That's-
supposed to be.
it's covered by them, but by the people who installed it last year. That cost is covered by them.
I'm getting it. Okay.
that's,
And I
that's
just-
the promise that
Under
was made,
warranty.
yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Joe?
What's, with the resolution, Joe, it says, written statement of said firm's satisfaction with the repairs and warranting the pool's operating safety. What's the likelihood of Benton and Associates to,
Let me, if I could, suggest some alternative wording to that.
okay,
And
Um,
the item number?
It's
Item
item number
number
1.
Okay.
And so it would read, provide to the district a written statement of said firm's satisfaction that the repairs fully meet engineering specifications. And that takes out the warranty.
I would add a couple, a little phrase to that.
Go ahead.
I would add, fully meet engineering specifications, and that the pool for the present year or swimming season or for the rest of 2017 or some time frame is structurally sound. The operative words being structurally sound.
So we might have something like firm satisfaction with the repairs, firm satisfaction that the repairs fully meet engineering specifications and that the pool is structurally sound through the 2017 operating season.
and because conversations that, you know, or comments that you made, and conversations that Mr. Benton made today, just, we're probably not gonna get a
They're not gonna
engineer to
say
say,
safe.
safety is not a word that they're gonna throw.
Right, safe doesn't
Okay.
exist in engineering.
Okay. Right.
Because it's subjective and ambiguous.
Okay, so that's,
That was getting written sort of as Joe and I were talking,
Okay.
and I don't know if you could hear the keys clicking. Other questions?
I actually have one. Let's say when the city does get the bids back, like Benton and Associates goes in, they do their analysis, they send the needs to bid. If they come back with two separate needs, so two $75,000 incidents, at what point does it cause us undue burden?
Can I ask you to clarify something? You say needs, do you mean like caulking and shoring or something?
No. In my understanding, those two were covered under structural repairs, and
Right.
then let's say there's a mechanical repair that comes back, and that's a new category of repairs that needs to be done. Not that that would enter into a $75,000 price tag, but it would be separate from the
Separate
original.
incident.
Right. Is there like, and I'm coming from the TR ADA standpoint, that if there's undue burden to an organization.
Yeah. From the standpoint of the language contained in the IGA, there's no definition of incident.
Right.
I believe that a common sense understanding of incident would mean either separated in time from something else or of a different nature than another kind of problem. If something happened to the pump and that was considered an incident, but say it blew up and we needed a new pump house, I wouldn't consider the pump house to be a separate incident from the pump.
Right.
Okay, let's say the pump wore out just because of time, and the pump house on its own, you know, was just falling apart. It was just old and caving in. Those then could be considered separate incidents. It
Right.
depends on the situation that you were talking about. I believe that the matter is covered in either of Benton and Associates' letters, the structural problems with the pool.
Right.
In my opinion, I would call that one incident.
Agreed. I'm just saying, if there comes to a point where I have multiple incidents coming up that the city is defining as possible, at what point do I have the right to say, no, I'm not going to lay off this staff to continue to cover this?
I think when the financial
Right.
burden of responding to these repeated incidents reaches the point that it would seriously impair the rest of the operations of the park district.
There is language in section 3 that somewhat addresses this, and I stress somewhat, okay? The first thing it says is that if capital repair costs are deemed to be excessive by both parties, the pool will be permanently closed. That assumes that both parties would agree.
Right.
Then it also says the parties agree to, and I'm going to kind of laugh here just a little bit, I'm sorry. The parties agree to utilize a systems methodology / decision tree approach to determining which capital repair costs are deemed to be excessive. That phrase was thrown in as an attempt to say that we would be systematic in looking at this and we would not take only the costs into consideration. Over in the last section, section 4 of section 3, or paragraph 4, section 3, it says, the city and the district agree that the Glenwood pool usage span is likely not to exceed 5 years from the execution of the agreement herein, so that we would have grounds to say, for example, this year we're halfway through, and one of the methods that might be used to determine what's excessive would be straight line depreciation. You know, we've got a $75,000 cap in the first year, and it might drop. So there are some ways to approach it, but I agree 100% that one has to be creative.
If you can't look at one incident without looking at the context of the overall
Yeah.
financial health of the pool,
Yeah.
as well as the structural health.
Right.
It's too bad there wasn't a better definition of the word incident included in the IGA.
To which I sort of heard a muttered, subdued, collective amen. So, questions for Joe anymore?
So in your opinion, everything that's listed in Benton's letter is one incident?
You know, I
At
haven't
this
looked
point
at it
in
in the
time.
last hour, so I
So
I wanna look at it again.
So the
because-
things that we're looking like the supports and the caulking and the deck would be one incident?
The joist.
And that was kind of my understanding
Joist.
from the meeting this morning as well.
Yeah, incident, I'm looking at incident in that context as like something happened that caused these problems. What happened, you know, is deterioration and settling, and it caused the caulking to pull away, it caused the supports to break down, and the third thing is, what, the surface of the deck, I think?
Yeah.
That could be considered a separate thing, just weathering or something as opposed to settling, but, I would think that, you know, it's the same forces that caused all of these problems. They all together are deemed as, an overall condition of not suitable for public use. You know, you can take anything and find a way to argue another way about it, but I think common sense tells me that this is all one incident here. And, you know, obviously, we want to keep the costs as low as possible. We don't want to impact other operations of the Park District. As much as that's possible, that's what's gonna happen, but I don't see how it's in anyone's interest, whether it's the Park District or the city or anybody else, to try to mushroom this into like some just expanding expense regime where it's like a never-ending, you know, run of bills or something. I don't think the city is in much better shape than we are as far as looking to take one in the chin, so.
Right.
Raises a question because the resolution as written references the second Benton letter, not the first.
Yeah, and that's a much reduced amount of remedial work to be done on the pool in the environment.
Yeah, that does not include what was in the second item in the first letter. We'll sort of have to diagram that at some point.
Yeah, but in the meeting this morning, they were still discussing the caulking and the decking, so that still exists in the the plan.
Yeah, the deck, the sun deck,
Yeah, it's Sunday.
that is, and I would say,
Yeah, the second letter doesn't talk about refinishing the deck.
but they were talking about that would be, it's being delaminated or,
Yeah.
yeah, and so causing to crack and flake and
They're trying to stop it, drippage from going through the ceilings, which was a department.
I'd like to point out, though, we as the agency that's responsible for operating the pool, you know, the word safety, you know, all the ways people can understand or define that. The insurance company, I believe, thinks structurally sound plus proper operation equals safety. And, you know, in terms of properly operating the pool, if we've got a deck that's gonna cut people's feet, that people are gonna slip on, I don't think it's gonna be very likely that we can properly operate the pool without doing something about that. So whether it's part of the second letter or not,
Let's emphasize that the deck we're talking about is the sun deck,
Second floor.
Okay.
not the pool deck.
oh, okay, well then in that event, maybe, putting a barricade up there or something would be, keeping people off of that.
Yeah, my intention in writing the resolution was simply to focus on, based on our conversation, what was necessary for operations.
Okay.
Okay.
Sunbathing is not part of that.
There are other options. Okay. Pat's got a question he's been wanting to ask.
Okay, I'm sitting here with everybody else that's on this board. And we're trying to fix a problem here. But I've got to vote on a subject that I hate seeing the pool go down. I'm not in disfavor of the pool. I want the kids to have what they need in this community. I think that's so vital and important. But it all comes down to, we're talking about spending all this money. And by the time we probably get it up and going, if it's a miracle, middle of June, I'll bet. I don't know, I'm not, but what I'm getting at, this is for this year. We're still haven't came to the real answer. The real answer is something needs to be done in the aspect of, okay, I'm gonna vote for this and feel good spending taxpayers' money, all this money, for the ones that need to go out there and that wants to go and swim. That's fine. But what it comes down to is that we still haven't resolved what the real problems are. We need to come up with some answers in the aspect of try to get a referendum. Let the taxpayers know. Let them have a voice. I'll feel more apt to want to spend their money, vote to spend their money. But you know what? No one's asked them anything. It's everybody else is trying to figure out something else, but no one's asked the people that are going to flip the bill in the long run. And I have a hard time with all these repairs, and we're going to come right back to the same question again. So help me. I know that's going to happen, and we're going to figure out.
I don't think it is, Pat, because I think it's
Ends in September.
June. We're going to stop
Well,
in September.
September.
Yeah.
Well, somebody will. But,
I did a very small outreach to community members last week where I allowed them to set up meetings with me. I had 5 people attend, and I had 10 slots open with a second day open. But the majority, 4 out of the 5 were in favor of seeing that pool close. 3 of them were in favor of seeing that pool close with a plan to open another one. 1 of them was just in favor of Macomb not having any swimming pool. And then there was 1 community member who wanted to see the Glenwood continue to exist. So, again, that is a very small percentage of the constituents. But, and I would think from last night's meeting, the general consensus was just having an outdoor public swimming pool. And there was a big emphasis on outdoor, because they did bring up the Community First project, and a lot of people responded positively to that as an alternative.
Russ, did I see?
I want to just make a comment, because there's a lot of numbers of dollars that are being said for losses, okay? And it's been reported in that public pools aren't necessarily there to make a profit, okay? Or even break even, okay? What is a normal or average for a city? Has anybody heard what is normally money that, on an annual basis, that these different cities spend on their outdoor aquatic facility for losses? I mean, I asked Chris to bring up some figures to me, and I shared them informally with some of you earlier, that how much money has been lost in the last 2-3 years with this. And this is just the Park District side of the equation, not the city side of the equation. And, I mean, these figures, we're looking at $15,650 lost in 2014. 2015, $25,085. 2016, $50,675. Now, I'm still trying to investigate exactly what the repairs and the new equipment that was included in this, because this includes the operational loss plus those added repair costs during those 3 years. Now, the operational costs, I do have those figures too for those years. For 2016, it looks like for the operational loss was $10,226. 2015, it was $13,098. For 2014, it was $12,162. And so the operational cost, as you can see, is more than $10,000. Is that normal? Is that acceptable? Are taxpayers wanting to spend that much money on the operational loss? That doesn't include the structural repairs and all that. That's just on the operational side because of several things. I mean, pools are not being visited as much as in the past, so attendance is down. There's other factors, of course, that were involved with that. But I'm still trying to get in my mind, and I can't do it I don't think even, I don't have a good, what is normal kind of sense of what is normal with these other community pools. I mean, $10,000 to me doesn't seem like a lot of money to lose to provide that outdoor facility for our Macomb. To me, it doesn't. But when you're adding on these repair bills, now again, this is just the Park District side of the equation. I don't know what the city has been putting in. John might have a little bit clearer for those 3 years that I'm talking about, 14, 15, and 16.
I
But
don't know whether I can do the city for those
But
years.
I'm just,
You can double it. Just double the.
well, and that's an assumption.
No, because it's a we
two-way
split it.
split.
Yeah,
You can, so you're talking, well, a large money. And it's so unknown what 2017 is going to bring. Financially, I think that money can be used elsewhere to keep other programs viable. I'm upset that there, may not be an outdoor pool, public pool. But I think we are obligated by the IGA to go at it one more year. I looked at the language of the contract. I think Joe, if he disagrees with this, I think that's what this, what we're discussing, this resolution, is saying that, yes, we're obligated to, if the pool meets all the specifications, the safety issues, and I think that's the biggest part now. The money is going to be sunk if the city and the engineers and the Park District decides to run the pool. We're going to be sinking some money into that pool this summer. Okay? So if they structurally pass it and it meets the codes, that's what I'm getting out of your discussions, that we're obligated to run the pool this season. But I'm not solid on the language that you changed in one, but the intent of this is definitely that at Glenwood Pool, I don't think the Park District should be obligated to continue. This is, I don't want to say crazy, but the firm definition of crazy is keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting different results. And this is not happening, folks. This is crazy. Okay? So we need to find alternative solutions to this. We need to work together, but I understand that in the short term, the Park District needs to stand and be firm.
I'm laughing only because during a previous dust up over the pool, one of the little memes that came out was a squirrel holding an acorn and saying, "They're nuts." And I just heard it again. So I guess history does repeat itself. I agree with you, by the way. And if you've got better language for the item 1, that'd be great.
I just want to make sure before we vote on it and we close discussion is that we do have the language of that wording a little more clear to me. I mean, I heard it, but I don't have it written down.
Okay. We would repeat it before we would vote.
Okay.
So,
So, can I go through these points and just so for my
Absolutely.
clarification, right? So, 1, we've taken out safety and putting in the language of structurally sound.
yeah, so it's
Okay.
not the
A
language I
letter
got
from
is-
Benton that
yeah.
it's structurally sound.
Yeah.
2, that our insurer, we send this to our insurer, and 3, that our insurer says, we're good, we got your back, okay? 4, we need, and I've got written down, and we've talked about the timelines, we'll not officially hire anyone, but we'll do some things, you will do some things to possibly to, try to find some people and say, hey, this is what we're gonna do, right? Is that what I'm saying?
I can call people.
But you're not committed to
I'm not
employment
committed.
agreements. There's no contracts or there's no, hey, you got a job or anything like that.
Yeah, it's just
But
not
we're
fair.
No, I understand that, but and during the time of repairs, we're not gonna have any district employees down there. So what I know that the city has volunteered to put people in to clean, so the city could do all the labor stuff down there to get stuff ready. While they're shoring things up. So it won't be any obviously Jeff doesn't have people anyway, okay? No, and we're not committed to hiring guards or anything, or a pool manager at that point in time. So it will be city employees that will do that, okay? And I'm not sure what your conversation with Dean has been with that, but I know that Kent had mentioned that, he's,
It was all Ken, yeah.
okay, it was, and so that they've agreed to that. Verbal.
They've agreed to help.
Okay,
So we will have to
okay,
restate that.
okay, so, and
6.
6 means September 1 it's over. Okay, and to me that's the big point. That September 1 it's over because we, collectively as a board, we didn't do the 30 days or whatever what we needed to do. Okay, and that's what we're saying. We're honoring this. Okay, but also the resolution, and then you'll deliver it. But I believe that we're saying, all right, we're standing up and we're doing the right thing because we did not give the 30 days. We're going to do it, but now we're giving you 30 days. That September 1, 2017, we would want to withdraw from the IGA.
It's 120.
It's 120.
Oh, all right,
It's what
30.
it
Okay,
is.
okay.
It's 120 days, and we're basically saying we're not going to operate Glenwood Pool.
Right.
that pool,
We could
this
operate
resolution-
other pools
Okay,
This
in the
resolution
future.
is
Okay.
only about Glenwood.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we're given that the time.
120
30 days. I
days.
misspoke on the 30, so it's 120.
We've
Okay.
actually given that,
We gave
um, because we had the resolution.
But not enough time for this season, though, right?
Well, I think there's some dispute about
Okay,
whether
okay.
we were on time or not.
Okay.
And frankly, next year is next year, and we don't know how we're gonna get through this year.
Okay.
So I think by saying we're done on September 1, you could look at that as like we're throwing down a gauntlet, or it's kind of like, well, we're not committing anywhere beyond that. But I wouldn't invite an argument that we don't have to have.
Okay. No, and what I'm saying is we're in good faith saying, all right, we're going to do this till September 1. Okay. Now, also because of our good faith, I would expect the city to say, all right, now it's getting too much, and you're saying when it has become a burden for you as a director. So at some point in time, we can say, you know what, we tried. We're going to do this, but the burden is too much. So in good faith, we would like out now.
Yeah.
Because we're making a good faith move right here to go to September 1. And then if something happens and there is another large expenditure, we can say, we tried, we can't do this.
Right.
I would expect, because of our good faith, that the city in good faith would say, I can't speak for them, and I would be very disappointed if they didn't. You know, we're coming to them saying, here, we're going to do it. Now, but if this happens, we're going to say, we can't. And I would say, they would say, okay, we gave it a shot. And that is all I've ever been asking for this, for, you know, just to try.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And this morning I said, you know, when they asked, and I said 1 year. So I like this now.
Well,
And this is something that I can live with.
I hear about the September 1st thing, what you're talking about. But I still think it goes back to what I said earlier. They need to give, okay, what are we doing in the future? Because September 1st just says we're opting out or what have you of the Glenwood pool. But I think if they could show a sign of, hey, we'll take it to the public. If it's in the fall or the spring of 2018, I think that would, you know.
And by saying, Pat, I believe by saying September, then it's a definite. You know, we have never ever really had a definite. This is it.
I
We have
get
never
what you're
had
saying.
it. I believe this gives both sides a definite. This is it, and so then the plans can be made for whether it be a referendum, whether it be, you know, some other, you know, community first, the city's community first project. But this is it. This is a definite. This is it.
Yeah,
We're in
that's-
good faith going to operate in 2017. We
Yeah,
will do
I
this.
understand
Okay?
that.
But at the end of 2017, understand that we will not operate Glenwood Pool.
Right.
Okay? So then that would, I don't want to say force a hand, but it is a definite, you know, we know
Yeah,
that the Park District will not operate Glenwood Pool after September 1st, 2017. So if that would mean a referendum comes along, another outdoor aquatic facility would come along, and there could possibly maybe be an
Could be.
agreement, an IGA, and that's in there, that's fine and dandy. But this is going to give a definite date. This is it. Because we've never had that, and I think that is what my impression, your
Yeah.
concern is, well, we keep kicking the can
because
down the road.
it's
Well,
been that way for
well,
the last
by
2
golly,
years.
there's going to be a roadblock September 1st, and we can't kick it any farther down the road.
You can
It's
keep
done.
on putting a band
Okay?
into it.
Yeah,
you know.
well, I understand.
Yeah.
So I think that this resolution
Right.
addresses that.
Right.
And
I
that's,
believe.
that's the only thing that's actually on the agenda, the future issues and things.
And what the city decides to do, whether they decide to put more money, decide to put another facility out there, that's their choice.
Yeah.
Even the park district, I mean, if we come up with some money, some donorship or something, could put out a zero, small pool underground, something out at either, Veterans Park or Ball 4 or some other property of the park district. I mean, those are just
Well, how about a splash
possibilities,
park?
but
We've talked
that's
about
just
that.
Those are all
possibilities.
future
But that's
things.
all,
Folks, we're-
this,
It's a time.
There's an Open Meetings Act regulation in danger here, and we need to stay on the agenda.
right.
So as I just would like to say, I can support this. Okay. Also, I believe that it has been trying for many people. Okay, and I appreciate the compromise that people on this board have done throughout this. Okay, it's not easy. May not be popular. And it may not be exactly what everyone wants, but I believe that we, as a board, have worked together through this and listened to one another. And that's why, I believe that this is a good document.
That's appreciated, Steve, thank you. Yeah, and I'm speaking as president of the board, not as me. Does anybody else have any other comments to be made? Or as the parliamentarians would have it?
Language of one. We went to language of one.
All right, let me read that the way I have it right now, I'm gonna read the whole thing, and then I'll kind of signal when the change comes.
Okay.
Upon completion of repairs specified in the letter of April 18, 2017, by Mr. R. Benson of Benson and Associates.
It's Benton, isn't it? Not
It's
Benson.
Benton, yeah, sorry.
And
I will, that's obviously, we will clean up, the, editorial stuff, but upon completion of repairs specified in the letter of April 18, 2017 by Mr. R. Benton of Benton and Associates, said firm will inspect the work done and provide to the district a written statement of said firm's satisfaction that the repairs fully meet engineering specifications and that the pool is structurally sound for the 2017 operating season.
Is that legal, Joe?
Yeah, after I write it down.
could you, I got to fully meet
Fully meet engineering specifications
engineering.
and that the pool is structurally sound for the 2017 operating season. I'll send the semaphore version next.
Structurally sound? Is
Structurally sound,
it- Okay, so, okay.
yeah, and then for the
So the word you
2017
wanna use?
season.
Okay.
For purposes of this resolution, I think that language is perfectly fine. You know, that's exactly what we're talking about.
That's exactly what you said.
Exactly.
For 2017.
So, again, as the parliamentarian types would say, are you ready for the question?
I'd like to call the question.
Don't do that, because then we have to vote on that, and it gets all sorts of messy.
All right.
So, if you're ready for the question, then I would like to do a roll call vote on this, please.
Okay. Commissioner Hemingway,
Aye.
Commissioner Sowers,
I'm not against having a pool, but I vote no.
Commissioner Pettigrew,
I vote no.
Commissioner Worrell,
Yes.
Commissioner Ham.
Yes.
The motion carries 3 votes aye, 2 votes nay. There being nothing else on our agenda, a motion to adjourn would be in order.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We stand adjourned, and I thank you very much. And Pat, thank you for return engagement.
Oh, yeah, thank you. You bet, thank you, John.